Hey guys, my name is Vang, and this is my follow-up project for the Gilman Scholarship. So I just want to first talk about the influence that Japanese culture has had on my life. I remember watching anime shows like Pokemon, Sailor Moon, and Dragon Ball Z. And now, what am I still doing? Well, I'm still watching anime, just from a better TV. The first opportunity came to me while I was in college, during my sophomore year. I needed a filler class, and so I started looking on ISIS, and I found that Japanese class was available. I enrolled in it, of course, because why not take it? I mean, it's been a goal and a dream of mine to take Japanese class and learn the language, the culture, the traditions. So I took Japanese class for 2 semesters. The next opportunity came to me when I saw a study abroad flyer. It had a meeting place, a location, room, and I'm interested at the moment because I'm taking, Japanese class. The meeting gave a lot of informative things. So one of the questions they asked was, did you receive the Pell Grant? And yes, I did. So the Gilman Scholarship was a resource available for me. My goal was to go to Japan. The program that they had available at the time was Summer 2014 Intensive Japanese. Did I meet the requirements? Yes, I did. But did I have the money for it? No, sadly. So how was I going to fund myself to go to Japan? Was I going to have to overwork myself? And I work 2 jobs right now at the moment. But I got to thinking, why not apply for the Gilman Scholarship? Use that resource available for you. So I did, and the rest was history. Off to Japan I went. The first stop that we made in Japan was Shimane. I met quite a lot of students there, but some of the students that I met was Megumi, and then there was Mai, and then there was Mariko. The students helped adjust us to their environment, so we call these students tomodachi, which is also known as friend in English. Now, we met these friends at Shimane University. They showed us great hospitality, and the cafeteria food was great. One of the places we visited was Matsue-jo, also known as Matsue Castle. This castle is a well-known historical site that sits at the heart of the city on a hill. We got to go inside the castle and climb to the very top to see the entire view of the city. Now, another place that we visited was the Adachi Museum of Art. Their main attraction was their garden, which is breathtaking. Another place that we visited was the Abe Eishiro Museum. We got to learn the traditional ways of making paper, which was quite interesting. Another thing that we did was we got to learn how to make Japanese sweets and the traditional tea making process. It's important to know that when tea making, you have to use proper etiquette. Another thing that we did in Matsue was we got to learn how to make megatama. Now, megatama are known for their shape. So we got a real stone and got to carve it and take it home as a souvenir. Somebody that is influential that we learned about in Japan was Lafcadio Hearn, also known as Koizumi Yakumo. He's well known for writing about Japanese folklore, and we even got to meet his grandson. Now, another thing that I got to do while I was in Japan was celebrate my 20th birthday. Thanks to Keiichiro for making the cake for me. Another thing that I got to do was karaoke. Now, everyone in my group that went to study abroad with me, along with my professor and the students that I met in Japan, they all came out. It was so much fun, and I felt really honored to have my birthday in Japan. Another thing that I got to do when I was in Matsue was homestay. I had a lovely host mother, and she was wonderful in so many ways. Another student and I were hosted by the same family, and we got to wear yukatas. Yukatas are like kimono, except they're thinner and worn during the springtime. Another thing that our host mother took us to do was make sasamaki. Now, sasamaki are sticky rice ball wrapped in bamboo leaves and then steamed. We got to make sasamaki and then eat it afterwards with a dipping sauce that they provided. One of the things that I remember my host mother asking me when I first got to her place was, what did I want to do? And I love coffee, so I told her that I wanted some latte art from Japan, because they're really notorious for their latte art. And of course, she made it happen. One of the food that I can remember trying is taiyaki, which is a pastry shaped as a fish. And on the inside, you can have red bean paste or egg custard. Another dish that we had was traditional Japanese ramen. That was the first thing I can remember that we went out searching for when we landed in Japan. There were so many flavors to choose from, but I of course chose the spicy one. Kare raisu, also known as Japanese curry, was another dish that I tried. This dish consisted of half of it being rice and the other half being the curry. You get a good amount of it for a really good price. And of course, sushi was a must-have. We wanted to compare how Japanese sushi tasted from American sushi. Surprisingly, Japanese sushi was really cheap compared to what we would get in America, and it was also really fresh. Now, we're done with Matsue, so our second city that we visited was Yokohama, which is also known as the second biggest city in Japan, right next to Tokyo. And the flight was actually quite short. It was about an hour long. Then we stayed at Kanto Gakuen, another university that hosted us. We got to stay in single-room dorms, which is really different from what America provides. I got to meet students like Takei, and then there was Nanami, and then we had Manami. And these students showed us around town just like the other students. One of the first sights that we saw while we were in Yokohama was the Tokyo Sky Tree. The Tokyo Sky Tree stands at 634 meters high. It's the tallest tower in Tokyo right now, outbeating the original Tokyo Tower. Another place that we got to visit was the Cup Noodle Museum. We got to make our own cup noodle, custom make, and then bring it home to eat it. I learned quite a lot of things that I originally didn't know about the cup noodles. Another place that we visited was Chinatown in Yokohama. This is one of the biggest Chinatown in the world. At this time, I was pretty homesick, and Chinese food was the closest thing to home food for me. It provided a lot of comfort. Another place that we visited was Shibuya. I got to go see Hachiko the dog statue. Shibuya is also known as a big shopping center for many people. And it's just as busy as New York Times Square, but I think it's a little bit bigger. Another place we visited was Harajuku. Harajuku is the fashion place in Tokyo. Harajuku also consisted of a lot of brand name stores such as Chanel, Gucci, and Dolce & Gabbana. Akihabara is another place we visited, and Akihabara was filled with tons of action figure toys from animes, which I had to get one for my brother as a souvenir, so it was the place to go. Then we visited Shin-Okubo. Shin-Okubo is known for Koreatown. I bought a lot of things from Koreatown, and mostly they were gifts to bring home to my family. One of the fun things that I got to do was I got to go to the cat cafe. Being able to pet a cat and drink coffee at the same time was awesome because cafes like that are non-existent in America. Then I got to see the Studio Ghibli Museum. Hayao Miyazaki's films are basically my childhood. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and we even got to see a short clip of the sequel to My Neighbor Totoro. Now, after being able to see all the fun places and do the fun things, what was I really here in Japan for? Well, I was here in Japan for the JLPT in5, which is also known as the Japanese Language Proficiency Test, Level 5. As much as it seems that I've seen and done a lot of things while I was in Japan, we still had school every week for 3 hours before we could go do anything that was planned for that day. The first thing was, gotta study for this exam because it's pretty important for me. We also had school every day, so it was a good refresher. and I felt like I understood the materials pretty well. The next thing on my list was I prepared for this exam? I hope I was prepared because I wanted that certificate saying that I passed the JLPT level 5. And that would be an accomplishment that I would love to add into my resume. So, what's next? Exam time. The exam consisted of 3 sections: the vocab section, the grammar section, and the listening section. I felt pretty confident on this exam. I knew a lot of the answers to the questions that were asked on the exam. The exam lasted for a good hour or 2. After that, what was there left to do? Return back home. It took about 2 months to receive the results for the exam, but I can assure you guys that I passed the JLPT level 5 and received a certificate. So, what was this video about? Don't be scared of the opportunities that arise. You shouldn't just look past them because you have no funding. Take the risk. Search for any available scholarships that you can apply for, such as the Gilman Scholarship. I am so thankful for the Gilman Scholarship. They funded half the cost of my entire trip, and I even had leftover money to spend on myself. These opportunities provide education. Not only are you now knowledgeable about a culture, you may even be able to speak the language. You never forget something that you've learned. And lastly, these opportunities can lead you to become a whole new person. The people you've met and bonded with can give you a whole new perspective on life, so don't let these opportunities go to waste. Now, I'm going to present real photos of my trip. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.